Welcome to the Horn Top 20 Countdown, powered by the great folks at All Stat Beer. Coming in at number 17, the Texas Longhorns. I know, everybody's like, wait, the Horns are at number 17? That's right. Coach Sark has a deep running back room. He's got a deep wide receiver room, and he's got two quarterbacks that are going to be battling for that starting position. Coming in at number 17, the Texas Longhorns in the Horn Top 20 Countdown, powered by All Stat Beer. No impurities, no regrets. Is this year any different than what you've seen before?
Okay. Well, I think it's a little different. And for the record, it's officially 35 years on the network. It's 31 years in the broadcast booth, and it's 21 years in the play-by-play role. So
who's counting?
But well, no. The only reason I say that is to verify what you said about it being ages, and so it is ages. So, and the other reason why I even say that is because through all of those years, I've seen it at times where you would think, okay, this is the year. I mean, Rod lived it when he was playing it as well. Is this the year? Is this the year? That sort of thing. And then it wound up not being the year. Does it have a different feel? Absolutely, it has a different feel. It's the second year for Steve Sarkisian. It's the second year for a lot of these guys under this particular coaching staff. All of us have pointed out how several of these guys, the upperclassmen, have been through multiple position coaches, multiple coordinators.
Yeah.
So I think in that respect, it is different because they got the same guy as their position coach or their coordinator that they had from the year before, and that has not been the case. There's been a lot of the inconsistency because of the turnover, because of the coaching change. So that in itself makes things different.
And that's the beautiful part of it. And Rod, you've talked about this numerous times about the position changes at the University of Texas. Where's the defensive backs going to be? What is going to be the depth at linebacker, the offensive line? But one of the positions that I wanted you to talk about, Rod, real quick, is the defensive backfield. One of the guys that I'm very high on this team is Ryan Watts. I've been talking about him ever since he got an opportunity to come back to the state of Texas and definitely come to Longhorn Nation. So when you look at what's going on in the secondary, what stands out to you?
Well, this year, I think what stands out to me is all the new faces you're going to see and the new places they're going to play. Last year, Deshaun James is probably going to be the only fixture from last season that's playing in the same position. Anthony Cook now playing at safety, moving from nickel, before that moving from corner. Keaton Crawford. I cannot tell you how many times Steve Sarkisian has mentioned Keaton Crawford unsolicited, so he really likes Keaton Crawford. And we asked Bijan Robinson to put together a 4x100 team of players on the team, and he put Keaton Crawford on the second leg.
Right.
So apparently Keaton Crawford is one of the fastest guys on the team.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it either, right? Sark talks about he wants more speed and wants more football IQ on that defense, especially in the secondary. And then you talked about Ryan Watts. You're going to bring him in. Jadae Barron's going to be playing that nickel position. So two things. You got guys who've played multiple positions now in the secondary. Anthony Cook, Jadae Barron, Keaton Crawford. To me, that's going to improve the football IQ of your defense. Guys playing multiple positions means they know where other guys are supposed to be in certain situations in coverages. But also the speed. Talked about that with Keaton Crawford and Anthony Cook now playing safety. You're going to be faster now overall on that defense. And remember, I told you, it reminds me a lot of when I played. Right, when I played on the 40 acres, when Coach Akina came here, he was adapting the Texas defense to the air raid offense that was proliferating all throughout the Big 12. He put Ahmad Brooks, a corner, at safety. He put Nathan Vasher, a freak of nature, who came in playing corner and then nickel and put him at safety. He moved Quentin Jammer, a safety, to corner, and basically everybody in that secondary could cover.
Right.
Because all of our safeties played corner at one time, and that's what Steve Sarkisian, I think, is doing here. He's prioritizing coverage, and I think it's going to help him be able to apply more pressure on the front end with that extra defender and also be able to affect the quarterback in a more impactful way.
Yeah, and that's what everybody's been waiting for. But I want to flip it over to you, Aaron Hogan. You know, we talk a lot about the quarterback position at the University of Texas. You get all the glory and you get all the headaches afterwards if you're not successful. We still don't know who's going to be the quarterback at the University of Texas. There's a lot to be made for Hudson Card. I still believe that Hudson Card may be the guy. A lot of people always think about Quinn Ewers. What are you looking at in that quarterback position and what is expected from it?
Well, real quick, on the beginning of the conversation about trying to do this, right, it's never been more speculative because of the transfer portal, right? I mean, the Pac-12's having its media days right now, and they have 9 transfers on the first or second team.
Their media day.
Yeah.
They only get one
They
day.
get one day.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But the media put out their poll, and there are 9 new players. So, you look at, traditionally when you try to speculate about what the season's going to be, it's, well, man, Utah's got the most returning players. Utah's got all the experience. They should be the favorite. Oregon has more returning starters and starts. Well, USC added Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison, and I mean they hit the portal. So
Mario Williams,
and
the wide receiver.
I think that's across the country, and it transcends to Texas.
That's a great point.
Texas is really hard to speculate because they have so many new faces, as you said, Rod, in new places. And I think the Big 12, as we get to that discussion, will be decided by the best transfer quarterback. Is it Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers? The kid Martinez at Kansas State.
Yeah.
Which quarterback comes in and makes the biggest impact? And to your question, Harge, I think it's going to be Quinn Ewers at the end of the day if he's cut down on the turnovers. I think this offense will move and score points regardless of who's playing on the offensive line. And we saw that last year if they don't turn the football over.
That's right.
And the reports through the summer have been Quinn tends to with that big arm try to make some throws he shouldn't. He's still learning the offense obviously and tried to absorb a pretty difficult playbook. If he gets to camp next Thursday and is cut down on the turnovers and has a good feel, I think he's going to be the guy because, again, let's go to – you guys played for a lot of coaches. Hudson Card was recruited by Tom Herman to play in the Tom Herman offense, which is more run-based for the quarterback, dual threat. Steve Sarkisian has said over and over he doesn't want to major in quarterback run games. No. He wants a pocket passer who can deliver the ball to his targets and his weapons. I think that gives Quinn Ewers an edge. But, again, if he's turning the football over, he'll be out. I think that's fair. But I think Quinn Ewers is the odds favorite to be the quarterback at Texas.
He also wants, to use Rod's term, which I've loved through the decades, functional mobility. He wants a quarterback who can tuck it and run if he has to do it. And Quinn Ewers is certainly capable of doing that. But to Aaron's point, and it's spot on, it's the C word, consistency. Who's going to be the most consistent guy in practice during the week and, most importantly, in games on Saturdays? And the proof will be in the pudding on that sort of thing as to what Sark ultimately decides to do.
Well, and isn't it that last year, Casey Thompson was reportedly late to some practices and the consistency wasn't there, and so he went with the more consistent player, Hudson Card. And you and Rod Harge could speak to this is, sometimes there's practice players, and when the lights come on, it's a whole different animal for them. That's been Hudson Card's issue. Has that changed? I think those are things, and I think for Steve Sarkisian, you won't know the Hudson Card answer until he gets in a ball game, really.
Right.
Because he knows he's a good practice player. He knows he's good in those realms, but is he good when the lights are on against Alabama week 2? That becomes why I think it's Quinn Ewers' job to lose, but I do think, to your point, Hart, you could lose it.
Yeah, and the one thing that I will reiterate to my thought of the Hudson Card, it's being in this offense to what you said at the very beginning. These guys are listening to the same voices for the first time that are back-to-back years, where it's like the messaging is being the same, where they're not having to learn new terminology. I think Hudson Card has had an opportunity to really grasp that offense that he didn't have a control of because of what you said about the Tom Herman situation. And we still don't know what exactly going on with Quinn Ewers because he hadn't played football in a year.
Yeah.
I know he was at Ohio State, but he got 2 or 3 reps during that time. He was behind some Heisman Trophy finalists and possible someone that's up for it this year. But I agree. I think it's going to be a very interesting fall camp, and I can't wait for it to get started.
The other thing about Quinn is that the spring really helped him a great deal, as it did with so many of the guys.
Right.
But in terms of getting the comfort level with the system, how many times do we hear Sark talk about Quinn getting comfortable with the system, Hudson getting more comfortable with himself and what he has to do?
Yeah,
so there was a dichotomy of the comfort levels that each of these guys were trying to attain, how they both adjusted to it during the spring, and more importantly, how they're about to adjust to it now during the fall camp workouts, ultimately will determine Sark's decision. And I asked him 2 weeks ago at the coaching convention, I said, you didn't want to name a number one guy come this spring. He said, absolutely not, unless one guy was just galactically ahead of the other, and then it's disrespectful at that point to say, oh yeah, this guy is, this guy looks awful, this guy's good, but it'll be a competition. He said it wasn't like that. He expected it not to be like that, and it wasn't. It was close, and he still expects it to be close. He does want to name it. He thinks that because, and this is the other unknown thing. I heard you speak of it this morning, Aaron, that getting that extra 2 hours to work with those guys, which you didn't have, the rules change, has made it easier for him, for A.J. Milwee, for the offensive system, for the coaching staff, to get a good look at those guys as they continue to progress during what earlier was a dark period. It was quiet. You didn't see those guys. What were they doing? Mac Brown, and I know when you were playing, Rod, Mac used to say, when we'd arrive at Big 12 Media Day, he'd say, well, I didn't see any of the guys this summer, and so I go out to dinner with the night before and say, who looks good? That's how we found out Colt McCoy was the guy and not Jevin Sneed. He said the players tell me the night before Big 12 Media Days. Think about that. Well, those days are gone now, and so they've got a much better gauge on it.